The silent colony commander Rian Hale stood at the front window of the scout ship, watching the silent planet of Vega-9 grow larger beneath them. The colony should have been bright with lights and movement, but the surface looked dark and dead. A cold feeling moved through Rian's chest. Something was wrong, and he knew it. "Prepare landing," he said in a calm voice, though his team could hear the tension behind it. The ship touched down near the colony gate, the dust rising around them like a ghostly fog. No one came to greet them, no guards, no workers, no children playing outside, only silence. Rian stepped out first, his boots pressing into the soft dirt, and the smell of burned metal touched his nose. The houses were damaged and blackened, doors torn off, windows shattered, as if something powerful had ripped through them. But there were no bodies, not even a single drop of blood. It was as if every human on Vega-9 had simply disappeared in one moment. Lieutenant Mara walked beside him, scanning the empty road with her visor. "Commander, this place is dead," she whispered. Rian did not answer. He only kept walking, his eyes moving across the ruined streets. He remembered the first time he visited Vega-9 years ago. Families were smiling, children ran with toys, and traders laughed at the markets. Now everything was silent, as if someone had erased life itself. The team reached the colony's main hub, the place where communications and security logs were stored. The door was cracked open, sparks leaking from broken cables inside. Rian pushed the door aside and entered. The room smelled of smoke and burnt circuits. "Check the logs," he ordered. Technician Vale moved to a half-destroyed console and began repairing the screen. The display flickered, glowed, then showed corrupted video clips, lines of static covering most of the images. "Stop," Rian said, as one clear frame appeared. On the screen stood a tall, insect-like creature made of dark metal and living flesh, its eyes glowing with pale blue light. The creature looked almost mechanical, but its movements were alive and cruel. Beneath the video appeared a single word, bright red on the screen: "Erased." No one spoke for several seconds. The tension thickened in the air. The meaning of the message was too clear. Whoever these creatures were, they did not attack, they erased. Suddenly, a faint humming sound came from outside. It was low, vibrating, almost like the sound of a giant machine waking up. Rian lifted his weapon instantly, his team forming a defensive circle. The humming grew louder, echoing across the empty colony like a warning. "Eyes up," Rian whispered. They moved through the destroyed buildings, following the strange sound until they reached the colony center. There, they stopped, shocked. A massive crater lay before them, perfectly circular, as if something huge had struck from the sky. The edges were melted and smooth, glowing slightly with leftover heat. "This was a direct hit," Vale said quietly. "No," Rian whispered. "This was a message." The humming sound suddenly stopped, leaving the entire colony in deeper silence than before. For a moment, the team listened to their own breathing, the wind, the crackle of burned metal. Rian felt something watching them from the shadows of the ruined structures, something cold and intelligent. He looked at the empty homes, the burned towers, the crater where the colony had once stood. Whoever destroyed Vega-9 did not fear humans. They wanted humans gone. Rian tightened his grip on his weapon, feeling anger growing inside him. "This is no accident," he said softly. "Someone erased this colony on purpose, and whoever they were not finished yet. Humanity wakes up." The scout ship landed at the UHS Central Station with heavy silence inside it. Rian Hale stepped out first, carrying the data drive that held the terrible truth of Vega. His team followed him, their faces hard and tired. Around them, officers and workers moved quickly, whispering as they saw the damaged armor and the serious expressions on the returning crew. Inside the command hall, the leaders of the United Human Systems were already waiting. Tall screens glowed with maps of human colonies, fleets, and distant star routes. Every leader in the room felt uneasy. They knew something serious had happened, but none of them were ready for what Rian was about to show. Rian placed the data drive into the central projector. The lights dimmed, and the corrupted video from Vega-9 appeared. Static flashed, broken images passed, and then the frame showed the tall metal flesh creature with glowing blue eyes. The room fell silent, the kind of silence where people forget to breathe. Then the red word appeared: erased. Some leaders gasped, others clenched their fists, but all of them understood the message. Someone had wiped out an entire human colony without leaving a single survivor. "This is not an attack," Rian said quietly. "This is extermination." His voice echoed through the hall like a warning bell. A senior minister stood up, his eyes wide. "Commander Hale, are you sure the colony is completely gone?" "Yes," Rian answered. "There is no one left. No bodies, no signals, nothing." Murmurs spread through the room like waves. Humans were not new to war, but this was different. This was too clean, too fast, too final. A scientist stepped forward and analyzed the creature on the screen. "This race is unknown to us," she said. "Their biology looks fused with technology, maybe even grown for war." Her voice trembled as she continued. "This does not look like a random attack. This looks like a plan." The leaders knew there was only one choice. Humanity could not ignore this threat. They had to respond, and they had to respond with overwhelming strength. The High Commander spoke in a deep, controlled voice. "In the past, humans survived darkness by standing together," he said. "Now we face a darkness that wants to erase us completely." The Council activated the Titan Protocol, a rare rule made only for the worst disasters. The rule meant that when a human colony was destroyed by an enemy, the response must be powerful enough to shake the stars. Across all human territory, fleets awakened, soldiers prepared, and factories began building weapons faster than ever. Rian was called into a private strategy chamber. There, he met scientists and engineers working on dangerous experimental technology. One of them showed him a massive glowing device connected to heavy cables. "This," she said, "is Project Helios." Rian stared at it, feeling the heat coming off the machine like dry fire. "What does it do?" he asked. "It is a weapon designed to release more energy than any human ship has ever produced." She replied, "It was never meant to be fired." Unless humanity faced extinction, Rian felt a cold chill move through him. If they were preparing to use this weapon, then the threat was far greater than he feared. The scientists then showed another piece of news. While Rian's team was returning from Vega, a strange signal had been detected in deep space. It did not match any human code, and it carried patterns similar to the energy found at the colony crater. "The aliens are sending a message to someone," the scientists said. "Maybe to their leaders," another added. "Or maybe calling for more forces," Rian said, his voice low. The room went quiet again. Everyone understood what that meant. The erasers were not alone, and Vega 9 was not their only target. Rian stood straight, his eyes hard. "Humanity will answer," he said firmly, "and we will not be erased." Around him, officers nodded. Engineers worked faster. Ships prepared for war. For the first time in years, all of humanity stood united. Anger pushed them forward. Fear sharpened their focus, and loss reminded them why they must fight. The erasers had removed a colony in a single strike, but now they had awakened something much stronger. They had awakened the full force of the human race, and humanity was coming. First contact with the erasers, humanity's fleet moved through deep space like a shining river of steel. Dozens of warships, carriers, and scout frigates traveled together, lights glowing against the dark background of the stars. Commander Rian Hale stood on the bridge of the UHS Valor, watching the stars stretch as they entered the deep scan zone. This was the area where the strange alien signal had been detected, and everyone knew they were about to meet the enemy who erased Vega. The crew worked quietly, their movements fast but careful. No one joked, no one relaxed. The memory of the silent colony still lived in their minds. Mara, the lieutenant from Rian's original team, stood at the sensor station, eyes locked on the glowing screens. "So far nothing," she said softly. Rian nodded, but he felt something was wrong, as if the darkness of space was hiding a predator. Hours passed while the fleet scanned every direction. Then suddenly all sensors flashed red. Alarms echoed through every ship. Multiple objects approaching. Mara shouted. "Direction?" Rian asked. "Moving closer. Every direction," she answered, her voice shaking. From the shadows of space, black shapes began to appear. They moved without sound, without signal, like shadows drifting on invisible wind. As they drew closer, their forms became clear. Tall, insect-like warships, the same style as the creature from the Vega 9 footage. Cold blue lights glowed along their bodies. Pulsing like a heartbeat, the fleet held position, waiting for any sign of communication. Then the nearest alien ship opened, revealing a bright core inside its hull. A hologram projected from the core and expanded into space in front of the human fleet. It showed a creature tall as a tower, metal fused with flesh, eyes burning white blue. The voice that followed was heavy and layered, like thousands speaking at once. "We are the erasers," the creature said. Humanity is a mistake of evolution, an infection that grows in unwanted places. We remove mistakes, the voice continued. And your colony was the first step. Rian's jaw tightened, but he kept his voice steady. This is human territory, he said. Your attack was an act of war. The alien's many eyes blinked slowly. You misunderstand, it replied. We do not declare war. We perform cleansing before humans could respond. The hologram vanished, and the alien ships opened fire. Dark energy beams shot out like black lightning, cutting through space with terrifying speed. The first human frigate took a direct hit. Its shields collapsed instantly, and the ship broke apart in a silent explosion of light. The fleet moved quickly into battle formation, firing plasma cannons and railguns, but many shots passed through the alien ships, as if their armor was bending the attacks away. Target weak points, Rian ordered, his voice calm despite the chaos. Look for overheating. Look for energy stress. He remembered how the alien weapon on Veganine left smooth, melted edges, a sign of extreme heat. Maybe their weapons overheated when pushed too hard. Mara scanned the data from every shot fired. I see it, she said. Their weapons glow brighter after each blast, then dim suddenly, meaning they cool down, Rian replied. Meaning they have limits. He gave new orders, sending the fleet into a rotating attack pattern. Human ships moved like a ring of fire, forcing the alien weapons to fire rapidly from different angles. The alien beams grew brighter, shaking with unstable energy. Then one of the enemy ships sparked, its weapon core exploding outward. It works, Mara shouted. They can be pushed too hard. The humans pressed forward, and for the first time, the eraser ships pulled back. But victory came with heavy losses. Burning debris and silent human ships drifted across the battlefield. Then a new signal appeared, large and powerful. A massive alien ship slowly emerged from the darkness, much larger than the others. Its body was covered in glowing runes, and a cold blue mist flowed from its engines. The hologram of another alien appeared, this one taller and more armored. Its presence felt like a weight. You fight harder than expected, the alien commander said, but it will not matter. We erased your colony in 1 second. The creature continued, its eyes blazing, and your worlds will fall just as easily. The hologram disappeared, and the massive alien ship charged its weapon, the core glowing brighter than a star. Rian stared at it, feeling the pressure of a new, terrifying enemy. This was only the beginning, and humanity had just learned how powerful the erasers really were. Humanity's answer: firepower beyond imagination. The battlefield around the human fleet was filled with drifting pieces of metal and fading lights from destroyed ships. But even in the middle of defeat, humanity refused to fall back completely. Commander Rian Hale watched the giant alien warship charge its weapon, the core glowing like a blue sun. The pressure inside the Valor felt heavier with each passing second. All ships, defensive pattern Delta, Rion ordered. Human ships moved quickly, forming layers of shields to protect the fleet from the incoming blast. But everyone knew they could not block a shot like this for long. The erasers were not just stronger, they were ancient and built for destruction. The alien weapon fired, a beam of dark energy exploding forward. The shields of the first human ships shattered like glass, the beams cutting through metal and tearing through the silence of space. Even from the bridge, Rion felt the vibration through the Valar's hull. Alarms screamed, lights flickered, but somehow the fleet survived the first strike. Return fire, Rian commanded. Human guns fired rail rounds, plasma bursts, and missiles. But the giant alien ship barely moved. Its armor bent the attacks away, absorbing most of the damage like it was nothing. The High Commander's voice came through the comm-line, heavy with urgency. Commander Hale, fall back to Point Talon, he said. We are activating Project Helios. Rian froze for a moment, feeling the weight of those words. Project Helios was humanity's most dangerous weapon, a device so powerful it was considered too destructive to ever use. But now, the situation gave them no choice. Understood, Rian replied. He ordered the fleet to retreat, guiding them through broken starships and burning debris. The alien forces chased them, firing non-stop, their beams cutting through the darkness like blades. Finally, the human fleet reached Point Talon, a region of space where a hidden docking station floated among asteroids. There it waited, glowing like a rising sun. Project Helios. The weapon was massive, the size of a small city, connected to thick energy rings and shield generators. It pulsed with golden light, ready for its first real test. Engineers spoke on the comm lines, their voices tense. Project Helios is charging, energy at 20%, 30, 40. Behind them, the alien supership appeared, pushing through the asteroids, carving the rocks apart with ease. The erasers did not slow down. They did not hesitate. They came forward like a storm. They are locking on Helios, Mara warned. They want to destroy it before it fires. Rion knew they needed to buy time. All ships, he said. Protect the weapon at all costs. The fleet formed a barrier in front of Helios. Ships overlapping shields, firing everything they had. Explosions lit the darkness, human vessels shaking as alien blasts punched holes through their armor. Helios at 60%. An engineer called out, "We need more time," Rion said, gripping the edge of the console. He watched ship after ship fall, but still humanity fought, refusing to give the erasers even a single second of weakness. Inside the alien fleet, energy patterns started rising, their cores glowing dangerously bright again. "They're preparing another superbeam," Mara said, panic in her voice. "If they fire before Helios is ready, we lose everything." The last line of human ships pushed forward, firing in a desperate attempt to force the aliens to overheat their weapons, and for a moment, it worked. Some alien beams flickered, some cores cracked, but the giant ship kept moving, unstoppable. Then the engineer's voice echoed through every comm. "Helios at 90%, 95, 100. A deep hum filled the area as Project Helios reached full charge, light spreading across its surface like flowing fire. Rian raised his head, eyes fixed on the massive alien ship approaching with deadly purpose. "Fire Helios," he ordered. A moment of silence passed. Then the universe exploded in pure light. A beam of golden white energy shot forward, brighter than anything humans had ever made. It tore through space, slicing through the alien supership as if it were paper. The massive vessel split open, its glowing runes flickering, its dark armor melting in waves. The shockwaves spread across the battlefield, the alien fleet collapsing under the impact. For the first time, the erasers faltered. For the first time, humanity had struck a real blow. But the victory did not bring relief. As the destroyed alien supership broke apart, something enormous moved inside it. A shadow, a shape, a presence older and stronger than anything they had faced yet. Rian felt the hair on his arms rise as the sensors shook from the new reading. "Commander," Mara whispered, "something is waking up inside the wreck," and the true enemy began to rise. The final stand, the battlefield was still glowing from the blast of Project Helios when the sensors began to shake. Commander Rian Hale stared at the rising shape inside the broken alien supership, his heart pounding like a drum. The wreckage of the giant vessel drifted apart, metal melting and falling away, revealing something alive inside it. A massive creature rose from the darkness, larger than any ship in the human fleet. Its body was a fusion of metal plates, bone-like armor, and glowing blue veins. Energy pulsed through its form like thunder moving through a storm cloud. The creature let out a deep sound that made the ship's hull tremble, a sound filled with rage and ancient power. "What is that?" Mara whispered, her voice barely a breath. Rian stared at it, feeling the weight of the moment. "That," he said, "is the one that commands the erasers." The screens confirmed it, words appearing in bright letters: "Eraser, Prime, Energy Level, Critical Threat." The creature spread out long, blade-like limbs, each one glowing with deadly light. Then its core began to brighten, forming a sphere of energy inside its chest. Engineers watched the readings in horror. "It's forming a planet-killing pulse," one of them said. "If it fires, everything in this region will be wiped out." There was no time to retreat, no time to hide. Humanity had only one weapon left that could match something this powerful. "Project Helios. Recharge Helios," Rian ordered. Engineers reacted instantly, their voices shaking as they relayed updates. "Charging, energy rising, defensive shields to maximum." But Helios needed several minutes to charge. The Eraser Prime only needed one. The creature lifted its arms, the sphere of energy growing brighter, changing color from blue to white. It looked like a collapsing star, ready to explode at any moment. The human fleet moved in front of Helios, forming a protective wall, even though many ships were damaged and burning. "Commander, our shields won't last," Mara said. "I know," Rian replied, "but we hold the line." His voice was calm, strong, steady, the kind of voice that made even fear step back. The Eraser Prime fired the first pulse. A wave of crushing energy hit the fleet, bending metal, breaking shields, and pushing ships away like leaves in a storm. The first row of human ships went dark, systems overloaded, their hulls cracking from the